Hello, true believers. Welcome to my channel, Mr. Miracle Comics. My name is Dave, and today I have 5 more undervalued comic books for us to take a look at. So, we all know there's crazy stuff going on in the world right now. I'm going to give everybody a break. I'm not even going to talk about that, okay? That's something else. You get enough of that on the news. We'll just take this video and talk about comic books while everybody's hanging out inside. All right, so comic book speculation is a lot of it is driven by movies, right? So we've had some delays with some of the filming, some of the movies that are coming out. That's fine. Those things will eventually come out, the streaming shows and whatnot. Still on the slate though is in October is the G.I. Joe movie, right? And I'm super excited to see this. I hope there's no any major delays. Obviously, I'm super excited. You can see my Snake Eyes tattoo right there, right? So this movie is based around Snake Eyes. I like the way it's going. There's a lot of positive things that I could see coming from this movie. I think it's going to be way better from what I understand of the script, from the script leaks that have happened a little bit and stuff. It is going to be way better. Okay, so that being said, I think they're going to build or attempt to build a better franchise out of this, right? A better GI Joe franchise. Try and get some of that Transformers magic going for GI Joe, right? And pull in $1 billion movie. Knock wood, of course, because I'm a huge fan and I would like to see sequels. If it's a hit, when it's a hit, I'm going to say when it's a hit, that movie is also going to spawn more movies. That's just the way it goes, right? If they can make money off one movie, they're going to put out 2 more based on it, hoping they're going to double down on their money. Now, this character has no rumors of being in this next movie. He might be, for all I know, but I think he's a good character if you're into G.I. Joe. He's recognizable. Larry Hannah was the creator back when this book came out. So, if there's a more G.I. Joe movies, and he might be in this one, but if there are more, one of the characters that I would definitely think is going to show up, and an extremely popular G.I. Joe character, makes his first appearance in this book from 1984, and it is G.I. Joe number 25. Okay, and that is the first appearance of Zartan. All right, so Zartan is an immensely popular character, like I said, amongst G.I. Joe people. If you ever saw the animated G.I. Joe movie, G.I. Joe Resolute, which I highly recommend, it's a great story. Zartan has a big plot line in that, right? Interwoven with Snake Eyes. In the comic book, he has a lot to do with Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, all kinds of stuff. Zartan is a big character in the comic book, in the stories, and very popular amongst collectors, like I've said. So, this is his first appearance. If they continue on with that G.I. Joe franchise past Snake Eyes, it's almost a lock that this guy's going to show up at some point. He's way too popular not to. They love popular characters, and they are going to ride Zartan to the money train, is what they want to do, right? I hope they're like, I might be slightly over optimistic about the movie, but I hope not, right? From everything I do see, it does look like they've gone in the right direction with it. One of the big things I like is that an Asian guy was cast as Snake Eyes. That makes so much more sense. That fixes Snake Eyes. It fixes a lot of problems with Snake Eyes. Why would this ninja be this white guy? I know it's kind of cool and stuff, but it makes way more sense for him to be an Asian guy. And the young man that's doing it, Henry Long, I believe his name is, good actor. I like him, but I'm really excited about the actor that's playing Storm Shadow, Andrew Koji. I'm terrible at Asian pronunciation. He is a very good actor and really good martial artist. If you've watched the Cinemax series Warrior, which I believe is out on Netflix now, well worth watching. Very good show. He's a star in that show, based on a premise that came up by Bruce Lee. And yeah, so he's a good actor. Henry Long has done some really good acting. So there's lots of good actors. Director is solid. It seems like everything, they got it finished before all of this stuff happened. So it does still have its proper release date as of now, which is October 16, I think, sometime mid-October. So good. It's all good. I'm really looking forward to it, really hoping things pan out well and that we're going to see a continuation of more big blockbuster G.I. Joe movies. But if that happens, Zartan is one of those ones that I think is a good bet for showing up. Now, I was on eBay today taking a look at what you could buy this book for. Super cheap, man. You can get this book anywhere from 99 cents up to, near mint raw copies of this book, going for, $25, in that sort of range. Don't pay more than that for this book, that's for sure. It has to be a really nice mint copy for that kind of deal. Not a hard one to find in dollar bins and stuff like that. The really hard G.I. Joe ones to find in dollar bins are always the first few issues and the last few issues, which were really low print runs. Those are quite expensive. You're not going to find those in dollar bins unless you get real lucky. Anyway, this book, you can come across it. You can have a good lucky day and find that out in the dollar bin somewhere. And yeah, I really think the first appearance of Zartan for around the $5 to $10 mark is a deal. So that is G.I. Joe number 25 from 1984. Look to pay $5 to maximum $25 for one of these books. Excellent. So next on our list, I like the idea of foreign characters. I think the MCU is definitely going to start expanding characters outside of the USA. It doesn't make sense that every single superhero in the world just happens to only be born in the United States. Of course, there's superheroes popping up in other parts of the world as well. And one of the guys that I think that they may bring in, I doubt he would have his own movie, maybe a streaming show, possibly. No. I doubt he'd have his own movie. He might be a guest appearance in a streaming show, let alone his own movie. And I was thinking this guy might make an appearance, right? Anyway, guy I'm thinking about makes his first appearance here in the 1977 copy of The Invaders number 20. Okay, and that is the first appearance of Union Jack. You can see him there. He is a British superhero, super spy turned superhero. Gets involved with the the invaders, fighting Hitler and all that stuff in World War II. Or he didn't. His predecessor did. This is not the first Union Jack, although he's the one. It's in the comic books more and the more impressive young guy. So this book, like I said, I'm trying to collect up foreign characters. I like, the first appearance of Alpha Flight. That's a great one, which is X-Men number 120, I believe. I got a copy of that because that's the first appearance of a foreign character. X-Men 93, 63? No, it must be 93. First appearance of Sunfire would be a good one, right? As a foreign character, Japanese guy, stuff like that, right? So this guy definitely is one of those characters that would show up on the British radar, Captain Britain being another one, of course. Probably the most likely guy that would get a streaming show. If Captain Britain did have something like streaming show, this guy would almost definitely appear, right? If the Invaders ever had a streaming show, this guy is most likely going to appear on the British side, but probably the older version, the Golden Age version of him. However, this book has seen a little bit of love, has seen a little bit of spark, but look to pay around $10 to $15 for a copy. A copy in the condition that I've got the one in my hand, I paid $6 for. You can see there's some pen writing up on the treatment there. Not bad shape though, right? It's not got any spine ticks or anything. It's a shame about someone putting 35 cents written on there. But still think it's a great character to pick up for, that $5 to $10 range. If you want to get really nice near mint copies of this book, it's definitely going to push you up into, the above $50 range, but still worth it in my opinion if you're a mint comic only collector. Having this, if this guy shows up on a streaming show and everything, expect to see this book. And this is his first full appearance, guys. He has a cameo appearance in number 19, which is a couple panels just at the last page of that book. But this is his first full appearance with the cover appearance, right? Which makes it his absolutely first full appearance. All right, so this is from 1977, and it is The Invaders number 20. Look to pay somewhere between $5 to $15 for this bad boy. All right, depending what grade you want to get it in. Okay, so next on our list, thinking ahead in the movies again. I have mentioned this guy who this limited series is about. However, this character has not have a key in his own book here. This is a key for a different character, and the character that I am talking, excuse me, is that I'm talking about is Machine Man, and that his book is here in Machine Man #2. But the character that I'm actually talking about is Iron Man 2020. First appearance of, how do you pronounce that guy's name? Arno Stark. Okay, so he is a relative of Tony that ends up buying out Stark Enterprises, takes over the Iron Man armor 20 years into the future from this book, of course, and takes on the mantle of Iron Man 2020. So I personally think the MCU missed a big piece of it when Robert Downey Jr. quit and Iron Man is not part of the MCU anymore. You can't have the MCU without Iron Man, or at least that'll be in their eyes, because he's such a huge draw and a moneymaker for that franchise. They're gonna do something to replace him, somebody, somehow, somewhere, and it won't just be Rhodes, right? It won't just be War Machine. They'll want a new Iron Man of some kind. They are working on trying to slide in a new Captain America. I haven't heard much about getting a new Iron Man, but chances are very good that they're going to try somehow to replace Robert Downey Jr. and have an Iron Man in there. So that could be, some people have speculated it's the young kid he helped with all the computer equipment and stuff. Some people, maybe a character that's coming out of nowhere. In my personal opinion, I'm just going to grab up any next versions of Iron Man that there were, right? Because one of them's going to be it. One of them's going to hit it. And it's just as likely to be Arno Stark as anybody else, in my opinion. So this book is pretty cheap, right? It's from 1984. People have picked up on it a little bit. It's seen a bit of rise, but it's back down into a sort of a valley on its price. And I went online. I was finding really, really nice copies of this book for the $5 to $10 range, right? I personally found this one at a comic sale for $1.50 out of the bins, right? So those are still possible out there. They're out there. And yeah, I think for, an appearance of, maybe not a big mainstream character, but a character that might take over. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get his own movie. I'm just saying there's going to be something. They don't want to give up that cash cow very easily. Anyway, one of the appearances that I would pick up definitely is this guy. And for, if you're only paying, I paid $1.50 for this one. If you can pay around the $5 mark, why not? Right? It's not, if he never shows up, you got a great book from a great limited series with that really cool Barry Windsor Smith Machine Man cover on there. I love the covers of this limited series that he did. Great book to have in your collection, regardless of whether Iron Man 2020 shows up or not. So for me, great book to pick up for, probably less than $5. You can still find it. All right, but if you're going on eBay, look to pay, 5 to 10 maybe. And yeah, I think it's a good pick. You don't have. All right, so 1984, look to pay around the $5 to $10 mark, and this is the first appearance of Iron Man 2020, Machine Man #2 from the limited series. Whew. All right, getting up there. Book #4. Now, I really like this pick. I was looking at this book earlier in collection thinking, wow, why haven't I ever brought this book up before? And it is a Silver Age book. Again, we're running out of those Silver Age keys, so grab them while they're hot. And I would say it is from, let's get my notes a little closer here. That's it. It's from 1967, and it is Thor, #136. All right. And this book has a lot going for it. Okay. One, it has a first appearance of one of the Lords of Fear, right? One of the Fear Lords. Sorry, um, is what's his name? I hate when I do this and I don't have my notes as memorized. I think. Okay, his name, the Fear Lord is named Lurking Unknown. Okay, so he is one of he sits on this council of really evil beings from different dimensions, and they are big Sorcerer Supreme, uh, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme enemies, right? They go out of their way to try and take over our universe, which of course the Sorcerer Supreme is tasked with stopping them from doing this. Nightmare is one of the Lords of Fear, one of the Fear Lords. I gotta start saying it right. And so is the Lurking Unknown. Now, do I think he'll show up in a movie? Possibly. He's not going to be a big character in it, but they may have some sort of, shot of him because he's this big, huge, hulking, scary-looking thing that feeds off fear, and the more fear you have, the more powerful he gets. And Odin used to use him in a rite of passage for Asgardians. And he does that here in this book. So what happens in this book is Jane Foster, or Thor, finally goes up to Odin and says, "Look, I'm in love with Jane Foster. I want to marry her." Odin says, "No way," right? And Thor begs him. Finally, Odin relents and says, "Okay, I'll give her the Asgardian powers, and I'll put her to the Asgardian test. And if she passes the test, I'll make her an Asgardian, and you can marry her, right? She'll become a goddess." Good enough. So powers go on to Mary Jane. The Lurking Unknown comes out, scares the living crap out of her. She cowers in fear instead of fighting him, right? So the more she cowers in fear, the more powerful the Lurking Unknown becomes. Thor's got to jump in there and save her. Odin basically says, "See, I told you she wasn't worried." Takes away all the Asgardian powers he gave her, sends her back to Earth, and erases her memory of Thor and the Asgardians. Totally blanks it out of her, and she ends up falling in love with some other guy. They basically take Jane Foster and write her out of the series completely after this book. You do not see Jane Foster again. I think it's got to be like 5 or 6 years worth of comic books, maybe 7 or 8, before they start bringing her back in the mid-70s. This is also the second appearance of Sif. So Sif had a very small appearance in her first appearance, which was Journey into Mystery 84, I believe, but she makes her second appearance here, and this is when Odin kind of hooks him up, or hooks Thor up with Sif, right? And this is when Thor really switches from Jane Foster to being in love with Sif, and taking Sif as his, true love instead of Jane Foster. She was basically gone. The writers of this book basically were like, "No, this girl's dumb. Let's get her out of here and let's make Thor fall in love with a god that can actually fight along beside him and be his, Valhalla queen or, Asgardian queen or whatever, right? Rather than Jane Foster." They basically made her into a complete coward, erased her memory, and sent her off to marry someone else so that she couldn't come be written back into Thor. Of course, Roy Thomas figured out a way in the 70s to write her back into Thor, and away we went with Jane Foster, who will soon become Thor. But she was basically written out in this book. Second appearance of Sif, like I said, who goes on to have a big long love affair with Thor from this point on. First appearance of the Lurking Unknown, who might make a little bit of an appearance in a Doctor Strange movie of some kind, being as he is a big demon that often comes into our dimension to feed off fear, and Doctor Strange ends up fighting him off several times in order to prevent him from scaring the crap out of everybody, becoming super powerful and taking over our universe. This is all part of the multiverse of madness. So hopefully we'll see it. If not, just everything that's going on in this book. If you're a Thor collector, this is definitely one to have in your collection. There's a whole bunch of plot lines that move way, way forward and have a big effect on Thor in the coming years after this book, and a lot of the coming years after this book. So, looked online today, see where this book was selling at, since I had bought this one a while back. Still, this book can be found, and I was looking there, I found a couple for 99 cents. Like they were listed there, 99 cents plus shipping. They were in a little bit of a rough condition. If you're looking for, a decent mid-grade, 25 bucks for one of these guys. If you really want a really nice, decent copy of it, 30 to 50 bucks is where you're going to be looking at. I mean, if you want an absolutely mint slabbed 9.4, you're going to pay closer, 500-600 bucks for this guy. But you don't need that. You don't. It's my personal opinion that slabbing is just a price point, right? It's good if I was going to buy like a really expensive comic book, a copy of Fantastic Four #1. Yes, I would prefer to buy a graded copy. That way it's been checked to see if there's any tampering with the book, right? If there's any restoration or anything like that. That's basically what I would check for. The grades are nice, but I think they're a little superfluous and they're really just a price point for resellers. That's just my personal opinion. That's why you never see me holding up slab books. I don't seek them out. I don't particularly believe in it all that much. If you're a slab collector, I'm not. That's your choice, though. I mean, if you like slab books, slab it up, right? That's collecting is personal, and everybody has their own style of collecting, and everybody has the stuff that they like to collect and the way they like to collect, and no way is wrong. There's no way that's wrong. If you only collect Archies, more power to you. If you only collect slab Archies, I don't know how many there are, more power to you too, right? So if you only collect slab books, if slab books are what you like and you have a big slab collection, fantastic, right? If you like to have that reassurance that my book is mint, great. So I'm not in any way trying to disparage people that collect slabs. Not at all. That's your choice, and I support that. I personally don't like it for my own personal collection. So I collect the raw books. Anyway, back to this book. Thor, number 136. It is from 1967, and it is the last appearance for a while of Jane Foster. It is the second appearance of Sif, and it is the first appearance of one of the Fear Lords, the Lurking Unknown. Dun dun dun. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Last book. Are we ready? So I brought this book up before, but I think it's a really good pick. And I've always thought that this was a really good pick, and especially with what's coming up. We all know the Fantastic Four is going to hit the MCU here eventually, and this book, I think, is way undervalued and way under the radar for a lot of people and a lot of Fantastic Four collectors, and that is the DC comic Challengers of the Unknown #3. So if you've watched the previous video, you'll know why I'm bringing this up. If you haven't seen the one with this in it, I am telling you, this is the prototype of the Fantastic Four. A character in this book gets shot up in space in a rocket. He's bombarded by cosmic rays and suddenly gains the powers, like a bunch of powers, like flame manipulation and turning invisible, right? So where have we seen this before? And if you just look at the challengers themselves, there's 4 of them. The really super smart scientist, brainy leader guy, Rocky, who's the lovable, tough, but, and gruff, but lovable kind of rough and tumble guy. There's Ace, the daredevil young pilot, right? So we're starting to see a lot of connections between this team and the Fantastic Four. This is also the last book that Jack Kirby worked on at DC Comics before going over to Marvel and doing the Fantastic Four #1. I guarantee you he brought this team in there, was like, Stan, I want to do this team. Stan was like, yeah, but let's change a couple of things. Let's make a family connection. Let's change one of them to be a girl. Let's move some of the stories towards, how are they not only just, having powers, but how are they dealing with powers? How are they dealing with each other having powers? That kind of thing. Fleshing out the Fantastic Four. And became a collaboration at that point between Stan and Jack Kirby. But this, to me, is where it started. This is where the Fantastic Four started. This is where Jack got his first ideas. One of the big reasons he left DC Comics is because he wanted more and more of these guys to be more fantastic, more superhero-y, have powers, all this stuff, and the editors weren't letting him do it. He was getting frustrated that he had all these great ideas and just couldn't get it. He got in trouble for this issue because he gave the guy power. The Challengers of the Unknown were a group of people that went around to different spots in the world that had like some sort of like ghost or, you know, what am I trying to think? Super. Damn it, I can't think of the word right now. Supernatural. Thank you. Some sort of supernatural occurrence that went on, and the challengers would go there and investigate it. Right, Bermuda Triangle and that sort of stuff. Jack was not so keen on that idea. He wanted these guys to be heroes in their own right and have their and make their own adventures with their powers and stuff like that. So bringing these characters over to Marvel Comics and being able to basically do the challengers of the unknown in the way he wanted them to be in the form of the Fantastic Four. But this book shows the first time the prototype of the Fantastic Four, with all the cosmic rays and the ship, and the team being the way they are, and the powers being the powers that they are. Does that make sense? Excellent. So, this book, like I said, it is from 1958. Okay, so very, very early Silver Age. You can still see the 10-cent price sticker there, from 1958. And yeah, I was looking online. It's harder and harder to find this book. It's drying up, but you can still find it. Mid-grade copies of this book. Some people are asking way too much for it. Look to pay around the $100 mark for a mid-grade copy of this book. Still, that's up from when I paid for it a year ago. I would think like really high-grade copies of this book are going to be quite expensive, right? It's not that unknown that super high-grade copies are being snapped up by rich collectors because they know this is a prototype of the Fantastic Four. This book predates Fantastic Four #1. This is the Fantastic Four. So, like I said, really super high grade mid copies of this book are probably going to be priced pretty astronomically. However, mid grade copies still great price, still a great deal, guys. You can pick this book up. What do you think is going to happen if the Fantastic Four shows up the MCU and it takes off like mad? Everything Fantastic Four is going to go crazy, right? And I think this book is one of those under the radar books that is really starting to become more and more known a little bit as people like me are starting to talk about it more, right? So look to pay around the $100 mark for a nice mid-grade copy of this book. And when I say mid-grade copy, for me, I always try and get a nice cover. I don't want to be the damage on the cover if I'm going to take a mid-grade copy. I'd like the damage to be something on the interior of the book rather than on the cover of the book. But yeah, look to pay around $100, and this is Challengers of the Unknown #3 from 1958. Technically, the first prototype appearance of the Fantastic Four. Now, how weird is that a DC comic would have such a big effect on Marvel Comics for the next 75 years or for the next generations? Anyways, guys, this has been a long one today. I've been going on for too long. Stay inside, stay safe, organize your comic books, and just a reminder, there might not be any more new comic book days, but every day is old comic book day. So get out there online and hunt your comic books down, guys. I'll see you next time. This has been Dave. Mr. Miracle Comics is out.